Canelo and Crawford heating up. Is Brian Norman Jr. the new king of 147? And what's next for Devin the Dream Haney? All that and more right after this.
I'm willing to put what I.
This is JJ Solomon.
This Corey Bradshaw, Mr. IOTBA. Mr. These boys can't touch me on my worst day. And this is the Spit Bucket Podcast. This your boy, Mr. IOTBA, Mr. 214. Senor Dos, Senor Dos, Mr. Undeniable, Mr. B Boys can't touch me on my worst day. Right here with my dog, my partner in crime, my brother, Mr. Jose Jr., Mr. JJ Solomon, Mr. J2. What's poppin', my guy?
What's up, Mr. IOTBA, bro? How you doing today, dog? You forgot to tell them what episode this was, my boy.
How you say it in Spanish, JJ?
96.
Yeah, so this Spit Bucket episode 96, you understand me? Salute to everybody from the 214 to across the pond. Y'all make sure before y'all do anything, punch that like button, punch that subscribe button. And if you're so kind, please share to a friend. What's poppin', JJ Solomon?
Man, not a whole lot. Hey, real quick, though, let's go get a quick shout out to Our Money. I see why they call him Our Money with the 199 super sticker before we even started talking. I appreciate you, dog. So,
man, Mr. Al Money, Mr. 231, you understand me? Al Money is the biggest supporter in the community that I'm in, that I see. Right, he supports everybody, you know, and that's why I respect Al Money and much love, Mr. 231. We appreciate that.
and don't forget, man, we're gonna do something special.
Yeah, the bucket
head in the ear. So you know,
Al Money is the boy. He lead. I mean, it's close because we got. I mean, I ain't just gonna say it because we got people on her too, and we got some people on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But I ain't gonna lie to you, Al Money in one of them bunches. You know, like you got to know that.
As a reminder, if you're watching on Facebook on the Spit Bucket Podcast, either the group or the page, and you want to add to the comments and you want to talk some shit, be sure to scoot over to YouTube, subscribe, and follow along there if you want to join the chat. But we appreciate everybody tuning in on Twitter, everybody tuning in on Facebook, everybody tuning in on YouTube. We got a fun show, a lot going on. Corey, do you want to talk any NBA draft or anything before we hop right into the hot topics in boxing? You got anything fun that's going on? Anything like that?
Oh yeah, man. Tomorrow we cooking the best barbecue chicken wings in the world. You know, because you know the naysayers are gonna say, like, probably you and a lot of other people say, oh, the Mavericks got gifted that pick. So what if we did? Guess what? Welcome to Dallas, Cooper Flag. I can't wait till tomorrow night, Jay.
Facts, bro. I'm all for it. I know it's been a crazy few months in Dallas Mavericks land. But listen, had you asked me in January, hey, are you down by, at this point for us to trade Luka for AD and Cooper? I think I'd have been good with that trade. So when it's all said and done, I'm good. We'll see if it all plays out well tomorrow. But I'm excited, dog. But let's get right into this, bro. Episode 96, and we're going to lead with, obviously, probably the hottest, biggest fight of the year, Canelo-Crawford. Look, we've seen pictures of them eating dinner together. We've seen a lot of respect. The Riot presser was a little bit boring. But Sunday, we finally got some fireworks, Corey. We finally had Dana White in the building. We felt that American energy as things were heating up, dog. What did you think of the press conference? Are you getting more excited? What are your thoughts? Let's break down this video in a little bit too.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited, like to the maximum, right? I'm excited. I mean, there's no way you could steer away from the excitement about this fight. There's no way you could steer away from it because you got a great little guy going against a great big guy, and that's a story of its own. And, who Terrence Crawford is, who Canelo is at this time in their career. You know, it's just match made. This is a match-made matchup, whether how anybody feel about it. This is a match that you just cannot deny. You know, whether you think who's going to be the victor or not, I'm super excited about this fight now, JJ, because you have Mexico versus USA. You know, if you went to that, right? I don't look at this as like the Olympics because, you know, we cover the sport of boxing, so it's world championship boxing to me. But in reality, you got Mexico versus the United States of America, right? And I'm telling all the NBA players, all the football players, all the hockey players, anybody who got something that's big in the city, y'all need to show up and show out for the United States of America on September the 13th in Las Vegas, because I guarantee you, and this is just clear cut, no debate, everybody from Guadalajara, Mexico, and around, they're definitely going to show up for Canelo Alvarez. So I'm putting this out to all the football players, basketball players, boxers, everybody in the world who's from the United States. Y'all could need to show up and show out for the American guy.
Let's talk about that, bro, because yeah, like I'm with you. And that's one of my favorite things about being your partner, bro, that when you see a card come up, a boxing card come up, and it's a black guy and a Mexican guy, one of my favorite things about mine and your element is you don't automatically flock to the black guy. I won't automatically flock to the Mexican guy. We both just kind of love the sport for what it is, and we have our favorites and all that, but it don't necessarily have shit to do with what language you speak or where you're from or your heritage or anything. Shit, one of my first favorite fighters of all time was Azuma Nelson. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when I was a little boy. So, but you would be ignorant and dumb to ignore the fact that Mexico, the red, white, and green versus the red, white, and blue brings fireworks, the environment, the promo, the fight week. It brings fireworks, and it's exciting. But one thing I'm noticing about this, and man, I'm going to ask you about this because, you know, you're one of my African-American brothers, and I want to talk about what's going on in the community. I've noticed that a lot of black folks who were big-time Errol Spence supporters, they still got that July 2023 taste in their mouth, and it almost seems like we don't see that line in the sand between black and Mexican. There's a lot of black people that are still hurt about Errol that want to see Canelo whoop Terrence Crawford's ass. Am I missing something, or is that a right assessment?
No, you're right. They're still bitter about that loss. You know, nobody's perfect on this world but one person, and that's the man above it. Thank you for blessing me to be on this earth as long as I've been. That's the only one who's perfect in this world, right? So you're not going to be right about everything, but it's okay to be wrong and put your pride to the side and be a real man or a real woman and give credit what credit is due. Terrence Crawford gave Earl Spence, you know, being on this level, them both being in the top 5 pound for pound, Jose Jr., he gave him one of the worst whoopings we ever seen if we compare it to people in the top pound for pound. And instead of, you know, Earl Spence fans respecting it, they want to be bitter about it and make excuses about it. Oh, Earl was weight drained. Earl always said he was weight drained. Oh, now since he loses against Crawford, this is the time y'all gonna make an excuse about it. And that's the one thing I called all, you know, the fans out. You know, I get a little explicit, but you know, I'm learning to control myself. But I called them a vulgar name. That's the names that they got, because Terrence Crawford deserved all the respect in the world. And me, like, if me could give that man all the credit in the world, how can't every other Earl Spence fan in the world? Now listen, that you're right, JJ. They picking him because of that, and that's totally wrong. This is the one thing I'm glad Earl Spence did. Right, he came out the other day and he said, "I'm going with Crawford. I don't know whether he's gonna win or lose, but I'm riding with Crawford." You know what I'm saying? And you know what is his fans saying now? Who still got that bitter taste in their mouth? Because the guy who y'all thought made so many excuses, shouldn't he be the man to say, "I'm going for Canelo"? He came out and said, "I'm going for Crawford." Now all y'all STFU.
You have me spelling over here. No, bro. Before we move on, shout out to PYP Boxing. He said he also sent a $2 super chat. So thank you, sir. Appreciate you tuning in on a Tuesday night, dog. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. I noticed that. It just seems like there's still a lot of people that are real salty about that. And now the people who used to hate Canelo love Canelo because they really want to see him put that ass whooping on the superstar from Omaha, Nebraska, bro. So like, let's keep the same topic, but let's pivot a little bit because we saw, a matter of fact, let me throw this up, right? No. Before we move on, let's talk a little bit about the presser. Do you think that was real? Do you think it was necessary? I mean, the push. I've got my thoughts on it. What were your thoughts about the shoving, all the back and forth? Was it fabricated or was it genuine?
No, it was real. It was real. Look at it. Terrence Crawford, nervous energy, and
I don't know, dog.
And this is what bothers me, Jay. Right. Respect. I respect all Terrence Crawford fans. And I respect Terrence Crawford, right? But this what bothered me. Every time somebody do something to Terrence Crawford, if Canelo would have did that, think of the uproar. When Jose Benavidez Jr. pushed Crawford swung at him, he had every right for it. Crawford and Canelo have been saying how they're so professional. What was all left for, Crawford? That's so unnecessary. The fight's already been sold. And you thinking Canelo as a man, right? You coming up there, he's standing right there. You trying to push him back like that. You think he ain't supposed to push you? And then Crawford have the audacity, Jose Jr., hold up, the absolute nerve to say, Canelo, yo, for that weak ASS push, I'm going to get you for that. For real, Crawford. So you telling me you just going to let a man come up and do you like that? And you don't think he going to push you now? Canelo, he pushed you and he showed you what's popping. I ain't dealing with that. And this is my thing. It ain't even no animosity there. Crawford is got nervous energy, JJ, because this is the biggest fight Crawford ever been in. And we'll delve into that later, because Canelo said that too. But what's your thoughts on the push? Do you think it's real?
I think they read the social media. I think they saw all the outrage about seeing these two superstars that are about to have the fight of the most anticipated fight of the year. I think a lot of the public, especially the American public, the North American public, had a problem with us seeing pictures of them eating dinner together. Like, let's be real. I get it. It's professionalism, but eating dinner to me is the most symbolic way to breaking bread is like a real bonding thing. If you're breaking bread with another man or breaking bread, it's important to me at least. So when I see these guys that are about to be going to war with each other, I don't want to see that. I want to save that shit for September 14th, not right now. But so with that said, I feel like maybe Turkey, maybe Dana said, hey guys, let's get a little action going, because I saw too many smiles, bro. Bomac was smiling when it first started. There's a different angle of the video. Bomac was kind of all smiles when he was getting in the front. Dana White was kind of smiling. You saw Terrence smiling. It didn't look the same to me than when Caleb pushed Canelo. Like, Canelo looked pissed. Like, Canelo's response was so quick. It was a reaction. Bam, bam. And he slapped shit out of Caleb. With this, Canelo was kind of thinking, and then there was a light push. All of that seemed fabricated, but what didn't seem fabricated to me, here's what fired me up, was the little chit-chat between him and Bud at the end. When Canelo was like, I don't know what he was saying, but then Dana asked Bud if he had his belts. And Bud, another side note, I love that Bud didn't bring all his belts from the lower divisions. Canelo had all the belts. You know how usually like Jermell, he brought all his belts. Usually you bring all your belts. I think Bud knows, I don't care about these belts. Those are the ones I want. But anyway, I like that he ain't bringing his belts. But no, I think the chitter chatter at the end of the confrontation was real. That shit was real. They're getting in each other's eyes, measuring each other. I think Canelo sees somebody who's not scared, and Canelo's working overtime to get in his head. But I think it might be working, Corey, to your point. Like, I'm fired up now, dog, because I think both these dudes, I don't think either one of them are scared of each other. And I think they're trying to establish mental dominance right now. So I could be wrong. I don't know. No, I'm not saying you're wrong and I'm wrong. I'm excited is all I know, bro. So I don't need the theatrics, but.
No, I'm going to just say I disagree.
Yeah.
Right? No, that wasn't fake. Right? Because it's the thing right here when you compare that to the Caleb Plant and Canelo situation. He actually pushed Canelo. So Canelo had every reason to swing back at him, you know, in a vicious way, right? Crawford come up to him trying to walk him back like,
yeah,
you think you could do that to Canelo, and Canelo pushed him off of him. It wasn't nothing fake about that because if you look at it, Terrence Crawford was really trying to get over there and get him, and then the dude jumped in front of him. See, this is why people were so upset because the first press conference they did in Ryder season, Canelo really sung Crawford, and they say, you know, if you go back and look at it, Canelo was talking to Crawford. Crawford wasn't able to talk, and Crawford, you know, got feedback. So he said, you know, even though he tried to talk back a little bit in the first press conference, but Canelo really dominated the first press conference. That's why the American public was so worried. It's not because they sit at the table eating a meal. These guys want to make millions of dollars. You know, that shouldn't be too much put into it. But I'm telling you, because do we have that other clip? Because I want to.
I got the clip. But I was gonna say one little thing.
No, go ahead. I'm gonna bring it back to the reason why I tell you the reason why it was real, and that clip we got shows you why it was real because that was done in January, JJ.
No. I didn't have another clip. The only clip I have is them talking the ring interview.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll put that up. But I do want to say
that was done in January.
Was that the ring on the roof? I didn't know
that was in January.
All right, well, let's put it up real quick. We'll put it up.
I think that was in January.
Let's check it out.
Mention one elite fighter.
So Postal wasn't elite?
Who?
Victor Postal.
Who's that guy?
So Ricky Burns wasn't elite?
Ricky Burns doesn't elite.
Okay.
He's not elite.
It's cool. Is
there a champion?
I'm going to fight another elite.
There is a champions, good fighters, but elite fighters is different. Wait.
So I'm going to fight an elite fighter in September.
Yeah. Okay.
Then we're
going to find out.
We're going to find out.
I hope your uncle Turkey Alashi pay you enough money because he's going to be the last.
Oh, I hope your Uncle Turkey pays you enough money. Listen, I will say that you make a good point. I seen somebody on Twitter, and I forget who it was, and I'm sorry, but for forgetting who posted it. But he said, Bud should be ashamed of himself because he got out-talked by somebody who barely talks English in Riyadh, and that's true. Canelo won that dialogue in Riyadh on the rooftop where they did that interview. But let's break that down because I don't agree with. I hate bringing up resumes, and I always have, I always will. Yeah, these guys are special. Both of them are elite. And if you're spending all your energy trying to talk down the other guy's resume, it's pointless. They're both elite. They've both dominated the people in front of them for the most part. I don't see the point of going back and forth and Canelo saying, well, who have you fought? And then I got some follow-up on Terrence's answer, but what are your thoughts, Corey?
Yeah, truth is truth. And, like they say, reality. It's a mother. Shut your mouth, right? People don't like hearing the truth. It rubs them the wrong way. But when we have to tell people the truth and reality, that's what it is. Just because something rubs you the wrong way, and I'm talking to everybody, doesn't mean it's not reality. Because reality is what? A mother. Shut your mouth, right? And that's reality, what Canelo was spilling to Terrence Crawford. And this is why I'm disappointed in Terrence Crawford, right? Like, real disappointed, right? He say Ricky Burns wasn't elite, Posto wasn't elite. What Earl Spence said. That was your big fight right there. So you telling me Posto and and Ricky Burns was considered better fighters than Earl Spence, right? And you didn't even bring him up. You said Postal and Ricky Burns. Like, Jay, come on now.
That was weird, dog. And like, look, you know me, out of us two, I'm obviously a bigger Bud supporter. But that was a weird response. I think the whole world watching that, we all expected to hear Errol Spence, right? And I think maybe Bud knew that, and he was trying to swerve and give a different answer. But that needs to be the number one answer. Look, Victor Postal, a hell of a champ. Like, we remember the Batista fight. We remember Victor Postal, good fighter. I would not call him elite. I wouldn't call Ricky Burns elite. Very good, sure. But why not just drop the three big names? Like, right off the top of your head, why not drop Errol? Why not drop Sean Porter? Why not drop Kell Brook? Like, why?
Kell Brook.
Yeah, like, why not drop those names? I don't understand why he responded.
Why not drop, what's the guy who beat Pacquiao and Crawford knocked him, Jeff Horn? Why not drop his name?
Yeah, that was a weird response, bro. But I don't like Canelo asking that though, dog, because we could do
that. Wasn't Canelo asking that.
No, Canelo. What do you mean? He said, "Who have you fought? Who name one elite fighter?" And listen, the only elite, the two elite fighters I've seen Canelo fight, Bebo and Floyd. You can't really count those. All right, so let's do this then. Like, this is what we're gonna do. This is what I hate doing, because then we're gonna bring up. Listen, when I bring up Sean Porter, what's the first thing you're gonna tell me?
No. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna do that. You just said two names. Name me one with Crawford.
He dominated.
That's even on the level. No, I'm talking about that's even on the level of a big fight like that. Name me one.
Errol. He was rated number 3, 4, 5 pound for pound. Nobody had.
No. On paper, JJ.
Undefeated,
I'm talking about from like. No. I get it. It was a huge moment. I get it, but I'm talking about the moment plus the flavor, the sauce with it. It wasn't that, because it got dried down a whole lot and that's Earl. You got to blame it on PBC.
But so did every one of Canelo's fights, dog.
No, but it's like,
and I'm not taking anything away from Canelo, but you can argue that when he fought his opponents, when he fought them, it was either too late. It was like when you beat Kovalev. I mean, Kovalev was done. Hell of an accomplishment. Kovalev was the crusher, but he was done. So it's not fair, in my opinion, to sit here and nitpick Crawford's resume, because everybody says Sean Porter was washed. Errol Spence was done. Nobody was saying Errol Spence was done before that.
I ain't said that. Who got a better resume, Jason?
If you look at just the names, obviously Canelo.
No. See, there we go.
Chavez Jr. on there, but
why you put just the name?
Correct.
Why you have to say that? Like, I asked you a quick question. Who got the best resume?
So
that's all I'm asking.
So let's count the big fights.
It's not even close, JJ.
I get it. The name, for sure. But my problem is that, okay, when he finally really beat Triple G was 40. We know what happened in that first fight. We know what happened with Mayweather. We know what happened with Bebo. The Lara fight will always be discussed. Like, so the big names on his resume, Miguel Cotto was for 160 championship, but then he fought him at 157 or some shit like that. So, like, there's always something you can say about Canelo's resume too. I wish both fan bases and both individuals would shut the hell up about resume, because they're both elite fighters. We can see it with our eyes, regardless of who's in front of them. So that's all I'm saying is I don't want to hear the resume. We know Bud was chasing a big fight for years. It's not anybody's fault that he didn't get the big fight. So I don't care about the resume. All I know is I see two elite fighters, two of the best of this generation, finally fighting, and everything is going to be answered on September 13th.
Well, that's true, JJ. You don't have to care about it, but it's a part of boxing. Mm-hmm. Whether you want to run away from it or not, it's there. So you can't tell people to not that you don't care about it, but it's a part of it, so it must be discussed. And like, I know y'all want to shower and throw roses all on Terrence Crawford. I know that everybody want to do that, but can we tell the truth that his resume is not better than Canelo? And that ain't just the reason why, Canelo just saying that. Like, but can we be honest about that and saying, instead of saying, I don't want to talk about it?
Me saying I don't want to talk about it?
No, I'm talking about everybody. People want to, like, okay, if he got a better resume, he got a better resume. If Crawford beat him, but it's the truth. And it's not close. I know people want this fight. I know y'all dream and imagine for this to be the type of fight that Crawford fans and a lot of people around the world believe it's going to be. That's why people want us to not, talk about the truth, but it ain't just resumes. It's Crawford coming up in weight. Let's also mention my guy, who called in the fight, Max Kellerman.
Oh yeah.
Tell Crawford to his face, like I've been saying, what you've been trying to dispute from me, that you got punched on versus Majamov. That was your toughest fight in history. And you're coming up 2 weight classes to fight this guy? Crawford
Hey.
Jay, come on. Why we run away from saying the truth about listen, he won the fight. I get Crawford there. But going up that 1 weight class and it was a tough fight. Then he coming up 2 weight classes against a skilled, more guy who got much more experience, who done been through. It's okay. If people think he gonna win, I can't argue with people's opinions. I just don't want people to run away from nothing because they like to say, oh, Canelo, he didn't beat Triple G. He didn't beat Laura. Well, talk about how when Crawford moved up to 154, even though he won the fight, that's a lot of people thought Majamov won that fight, whether you agree with him or disagree with him. That was the toughest fight of his life, and people don't want to talk about that. And now he's moving up 2 weight classes from the fight Canelo after 7'5", 7'5", 8'4". Okay. All right.
Yeah,
let's run away from it.
Yeah. I like it. I'll end with this so we can get into something new. Because we got plenty of Canelo-Crawford coverage coming in these next few months. So it's not like we got to wear it all out tonight. But I will say this. I've been back and forth. I'm 50-50 on this fight. And some days I lean one way, some days I lean another. But since that first press conference in the United States, like I told you this on the phone. I believe with all of my heart that this fight is going to bring out the very best in these 2 guys. A better Canelo than Caleb Plant, a better Canelo than even Danny Jacobs. And that was my favorite Canelo. I think we're going to see the best Canelo we've seen in a long time. I think we're going to see a better Bud than Errol Spence. But if you have the best 2 versions of both of those guys, it is impossible to pick against Canelo at this point. So right now, if you had a gun to my head and you said, JJ, fuck your 50-50, you need to make a pick. Based on what I felt and the energy I felt this weekend, I'm rocking with Canelo, and I think that's going to be my final pick. I'm not sure yet, dog, but like I said, I'm excited to be here. I know I talked a lot of shit about Turkey, a lot of shit about it. I said this was a lose-lose for Canelo, but all of that goes away, bro. It was cool seeing Dana White right there. Fuck it. You can't do shit about it. You might as well enjoy it. I'm fired up.
Okay. All right. 15 seconds. I never had this a 50-50. I got it like 99.9% to 0.1% in favor of Canelo. You could call it ridiculous all you want. Like I have to go off of what I see, and this like Earl Spence. People are getting confused and said even Terrence Crawford. This is where I'm mind boggled by. He said this is going to be the easiest fight of my life. Okay.
Yeah. We'll see, man. We'll see. Let's hit these comments. Oh, look who's up. Somebody we ain't talked to in a while, Mr. Lukey.
Lukey. Salute.
He said, Postal stopped Lucas Matisse Pryor. I remember that.
He was never a champion, though.
No.
Matisse was never a champion.
I mean, Matisse was good, bro. Brooklyn, I don't know why Canelo is bringing up elite fighters on Bud's resume like that matters. Who did Bebo fight before? That's true, man. Who did Bebo fight before Canelo? Like, who did Loma fight before he became Loma? Like, I can't stand talking about resumes. If you're special, you're special. And that goes both ways. I've criticized Canelo's resume because people put it on a pedestal, but but it is what it is. And I know I'm in a minority here, so I ain't even gonna try to
argue. Go back to that. Go back to that.
All right, go ahead.
So no, it ain't just about resumes. You know, like I say, don't run from it, run to it. It's the truth. It's about Crawford coming up 2 weight classes, right? After how he just looked against Majamov, average at 154, against a guy, I don't care what y'all say, who nobody knew before this fight was started. Nobody knew about this guy. And this guy had made no noise on the scene. So that's not the only reason.
I'm going to ask you this, Corey. Canelo's last fight against William Skoll. William Skoll did a good job avoiding him. Had William Skoll put out just a little more output, a jab here, a little more output. I'm going to ask you this straight up. Put everything behind all your feelings. Do you think Crawford could do the exact same thing William Skoll did, but with a little more output? Do you think that's possible?
No. He listen to that. Shout out to Terrence Crawford. I think he's probably one of the greatest fighters I've seen. I give him his flowers. I don't hate Terrence Crawford. I like Terrence Crawford, right? Terrence Crawford got my respect when he beat Earl Smith. I'm not going to be a sourpuss and I give the man credit, you know, right? But Crawford has to do things different in this fight that he's never did before. He's moving up really 3-4 weight classes, in my opinion, JJ, right? Because he never got acclimated at 154. He has to put on all this muscle. He has to train different, eat different. You know, do y'all think that's going to be the same guy? His feet didn't look that swift against Majamov. What about his defense? He was getting punched on. So people have to put all them aspects into it. It's not that Terrence Crawford isn't a great fighter. He is. But this is something that he's never did before. Hey, if you believe in miracles like Al Michaels did in 1976 when USA beat Russia, toodaloo to you. But I'm just telling y'all, it's a difference.
All right, shout out to Harambe Abdul-Jackson. They make up excuses when he bring up Spence, but then they claim he wasn't the same after the accident. Yeah, bro, I feel that. Luke.
Well, Harambe, you never heard me say that, so cut it out.
Yeah, he said they. Luke, Gamboa was a huge win. How we forget Gamboa, man? Let's see. Just a lot of stuff. Apparently, Billy Ho. Oh yeah, this is coming to me, I guess. Here it is. Solomon is a Canelo hater. Can't say shit. I literally picked Canelo, but I'm still the Canelo hater. All right, nerd. We appreciate you tuning in, dog. All right, Hector Garcia is like, hey, what's up, cuz? It's like Canelo jumping up to fight Bivol. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. That's,
you know, because
yes, it is, but it's different.
Bivol is the better boxer out of the two.
Listen,
Bivol is the better boxer out of the two.
It's not about that he was the better boxer. That's true. No, you're true. He was the better boxer. He was bigger, and he was way much stronger, bro. So after Hector Garcia, he know boxing, bro, and it's gonna be totally different because Crawford coming up 2 weight classes with no rehydration clause, bro. But okay.
All right, bro. Moving on to our next something to talk about. Listen, former guest of the show and son of former 2-time guest of the show, Brian Norman Jr., you know, son of Brian Norman Sr., who we've actually had on Senior 3 times because we had him on with what's the name too, with Greg
Hackett.
Greg Hackett. But Brian Norman Jr. last Thursday against Jin Sasaki. I think we're muted. Oh, there we go. It ain't let me talk. Anyway, there you go. All right. Bro, Brian Norman Jr., dog, like
that's hard to look at.
When we had him on, you know, he was relatively unknown. Nobody had faith in him. He was coming off an amazing performance against Santillan in Santillan's hometown. And he, in my opinion, he made his like, I'm here. He declared his position at 147. And bro, he's only getting better and better and better. He's only getting better and better and better. He's supremely confident. The guy has multiple different types of weapons. How are you feeling right now about Brian Norman Jr.? We always say it's one thing to become a champ. Salute. You know, you live in your dream. It's a whole nother thing to defend that strap, especially overseas in somebody else's country against an undefeated knockout artist. How you feeling about Mr. Brian Norman Jr., dog?
Oh, he's the guy right now at 147, and it's just clear cut, no debate. You know, it was a debate between him and Boots, who was the best. People had their opinions on that, but now since we see Boots have moved up to 154, we have the new reigning, you know, undeniable number one guy at 147, and Brian Norman Jr. When you talk about spectacular, he is that, right? We see it, right? But my thing is, I'm ready to see more, right? I like seeing the guy over there, but he's not too familiar or more of one of them guys who we'll look at it saying, you know, oh, okay, Brian Norman. Yeah, the knockout was spectacular. He did what he was supposed to do. That's why you have no complaints out of me. I do think he is the number one guy, but I'm ready to see him against the better opposition at 147 to see what Brian Norman is really about. I'm not going to say nobody else is better than him. He proved he's that guy. And, you know, I even told his daddy I thought that he would knock out Boots, right? You know, but I could have been wrong, but that's just how I was feeling. But I give him being a guy, but now I want to see if he could be that guy going through these type of opponents who we know could possibly give him a challenge and make him go into waters that he's never been in.
No doubt, bro. I it's that time, you know. It's that time to step it up, but you can't take away. Let me put this comment up real quick. Oh, Primo, this is my cousin. What's up? Made the live show tonight. Hell yeah, the most fire podcast. That says Raymond Cavazos, but we all love him and know him as Eddie Cavazos. I appreciate you tuning in, cuz.
Eddie.
Yeah. Anyway, man, Brian Norman Jr., dog, like, here's the thing that catches my eye. You know, you see it, especially in today's world, especially out of American boxers, when the opponent isn't a superstar opponent, you see them take a step backwards. You see them have a meh performance. And we say that, I was talking to you about this earlier. When you're a champion, every time you fight, you're going to get the best version of that other dude. That's their fight of their life. You're going to get their best version. And the way Norman went in there and dominated from bell one, bro, in Japan, dog, you know, that says a lot to me. It says about your preparation, your character, your confidence, how serious you take the game. You know, I'm not dogging Boots here. I'm not. I'm just telling you what my eyeball seen with Karen. I know Karen's a better fighter than this Jin dude, than the Japanese fella. But we've seen Boots have, as of late. I know Norman had some questionable performances earlier. I'm talking about now that he's champ. Dog, I'm with you, Corey, or at least how you were. This Brian Norman Jr., bro, I think he was too much for Boots, man. And I'm not saying that's why Boots moved up. I think Boots outgrew the division. I don't think Boots is scared of Brian Norman Jr. because you got Virgil Ortiz at 154. So it's like you got to make a decision. But I just want to the point I'm trying to make here is Brian Norman Jr., in my opinion, is for real. He's here to stay. And I can't see too many people beating him, bro. I think he is supremely talented.
And to add on to that, I got to give Brian Norman Sr. a lot of credit because he's a former fighter who had a lot of big fights and came up and made a name for himself. And for him, you know, being able, you know, to guide his son, because you have to understand, JJ, when you're growing up, you're getting into something, you're going to know how to guide your kids better than the way you were guided coming up to make them better. And with him being a former boxer, you can see the guidance that he gave Brian Norman Jr. has paid off. So I think Brian Norman Sr. deserves a hell of a lot of credit because he is the root of the fruit of Brian Norman Jr. is who he said he was, sir.
Yeah, bro. How about that? How about that line at the end of the fight where he said, "I thought we had a fight in place, but they heard that the storm Norman was coming, so he grabbed his boots and ran up." That shit was fire, bro. That was bars on bars.
Yeah, but to Boo's credit, Brian Norman Jr. and saying, who I respect, y'all turned down that fight. Y'all
Brother,
had the fight on the table.
No.
I mean, that's what.
Look. That's the narrative, and here's the part people don't want to talk about. Eddie Hearn got the counter offer from Brian Norman Sr. Eddie Hearn didn't respond to the counter offer, and you know what happened? Karen activated his mandatory on August 18th. Once you activate your mandatory, if you ain't paying Karen a minimum of $20,000, which Eddie Hearn did not do, then that fight with Karen had to happen. So anything that happened after August 18th is irrelevant because Boots and Norman weren't going to fight as long as Eddie Hearn wasn't paying Karen them $20K. Plus, Brian Norman just had surgery, bro. Like,
yeah, I know, I get it, but like I stated, it was made. If we talking about surgery, why you make a counter offer, right? So that's easy to debate. To debate that. Like I stated, whether what happened or not, Boots was the bigger fighter.
Yeah.
Brian Norman should have took that fight, even though his daddy could talk about the money with us now. And like I said, now they making that path where they gonna get their money. But that was the opportunity, in my opinion, that they should have pounced on. So, and they didn't because they can talk about his hand, but he made a counter offer. So that's the way I look at that. But that's neither here or there. Brian Norman Jr. has arrived, and now we want to see what he's gonna do going forward.
Facts. Before we move on, let's look at the 147 landscape because our title tonight said is he the new king of 147. I know you said yes. I say yes. You look at Mario Barrios, who's about to defend his title against Pacquiao. I don't know if we are taking that serious. Who knows if Pacquiao wins, whatever. Let's call Mario Barrios and Manny Pacquiao. Then let's talk about, so you got Barrios, Pacquiao, Brian Norman. Obviously, there's rumbles and whispers about Haney and Teofimo. Do you see anybody in those conversations from Barrios, Teofimo, Haney, any of those names that could beat the Brian Norman we've seen in the past 2 years?
Yeah. I like Teo. I mean, he's skillful. I like Devin Haney. It's just, we're gonna have to see, Devin Haney, against somebody else before you just throw him in there against a guy like Brian Norman Jr. Unless Bill Haney and Devin Haney feel like they ready. I mean, I like
perfect timing because we had Mr. Bill Haney say, "I'm on my job looking for this tough guy named Brian Norman Jr. If you see him or his dad, tell him that Devin Haney is looking for him." So that was a perfect segue, Corey. Devin Haney. We see the whispers between Richardson Hitchens. We've had Richardson Hitchens. We've had Coach Lenny Wilson on multiple times. We respect the hell out of him. I love what Hitchens is doing. Well, you got Norman at 147. What's the smarter move for Devin and Bill Haney right now, dog?
To take the Norman Jr. fight. In my opinion. It's smarter to me. It's smarter to me because it's the bigger fight. JJ.
So you're looking at the dollar signs.
No, I'm not looking at the dollar signs. I'm looking at the bigger fight. I'm looking at Devin Haney isn't a 140-pound fighter no more. I don't care about Hitchison feeling himself, saying he'll come up to 147. Well, drop your belt and show us how serious you is then. If you're willing to do that. You're a 140-pound champion right now, Hitchison. Until you come to 147, then I truly believe you. Now, Hitchens, he deserves all the credit in the world and get to talk his talk, because the Haneys, been dissing him. Now Hitchens on top, so he can talk what he talk. But I'm not interested in the 140 guy when I know Devin Haney is at 147 right now. So I think him and Brian Norman
Is he?
Jr. makes sense. Yeah, he's at 147.
I'm saying, but what if fight Jose Ramirez at?
It was at like 144.
Okay.
But that's a welterweight. That's like anything over
147. Has he fought a real 147? Like you keep talking about how important it is to get acclimated when we're talking about Bud and Canelo. Has he fought a real 147?
I mean, no, but it ain't like Devin Haney coming up 3 divisions. He coming up 1 division.
Yeah, but he still
so no, but that's the difference. When you come up 1 division, you're able to do that. JJ, if you were,
I get that. No, I'm not saying that it's the same. I'm just saying he hasn't done shit at 147. So you think he has a better chance against a 147 champ who we've seen just put the Japanese fella to sleep? We saw what he did against Santillan. The dude got loaded missiles in his hands. And we saw what Devin did with Jose Ramirez, dog. We saw what he did against Ryan Garcia. Now you can argue the PDs, but still, we see a chin that's vulnerable. My opinion is you got Richardson Hitchens at 140. You said it yourself too when we brought up Devin today. Devin needs another fight because that Jose Ramirez didn't do anything. Why go 147? Maybe it's too hard to cut the weight for 140, but safer fight. That's got to be Richardson Hitchens. I know Hitchens just stopped Combosas, but who hasn't? And well, Devin Haney hasn't, but what was I gonna say about Hitchens? Oh yeah, but we also know that Hitchens isn't a natural killer. Like Brian Norman coming out with bad intentions. If I'm Devin Haney, I'm chasing the belt at 140. Just go and wait Billy one more time because dude, Brian Norman is a potential career ender. If we had here, if we had Coach Lenny on here saying that Ryan Garcia took 3 years off of Devin Haney's career, what do you think Brian Norman Jr. could potentially
I want to see how good Brian Norman Jr. is. I want to see if he's able to keep up. I want to see if he's just not a power fighter. Like, I want to see that. Because right now, you know, he's a bully type, strong fighter who, of course, he got skills, but you don't really see the skills that you would say in a natural boxer, right? In Brian Norman Jr. I want to see if he really like that. I want to see if he can adapt to these styles. Are you able to keep up with Devin Haney, who's going to be able to be elusive? We could talk about the Ramirez fight. It's like spoiled milk, right? I mean, obviously, he was coming off a situation where, a guy was on the word stuff, right? Whether y'all say what it was or not, the guy got suspended, and he was on the word stuff. And of course, he should come back and be cautious like that. But I'm saying it's about being great. Devin Haney has been in this game for a long time. Richardson Hitchens is a step back, right? I like him and his coach, but they'll step back. What are you going backwards for? If they want you, tell them to really move up. Devin Haney is 147 now, Jay. And like I said, unless, and that's why they say, oh, perfect segment, correct? Bill Haney and Devin Haney won it. That's the fight I want to see. I don't want to see him against Hitchens. I mean, yeah, it'll be good to hear the back and forth talk, but I want to see a fight where I know, okay, Devin Haney, you could show the world, you could bounce back if you could look at this new boogeyman who we saying the guy 147, and you could come up and dethrone this guy. And I think Devin Haney got the skills to where he could possibly win this fight against Brian Norman Jr. because I don't know how Brian Norman Jr. react to when with the hands can't hit, what the eyes can't see, or when he throw a big punch and the timing. Timing beat everything, and that punch could hurt you. I don't know how he is because I ain't seen him tested through the walls. I know Brian Sr. will get on her. It's like, oh, he did this against this guy. No, but we ain't seen him do it against these skillful guys like that who we know who they are. Now, until he could do that, because we've seen him have trouble early. So until he could do that, JJ, so I'm just going to be like, that's the fight I want to see. And I think this is the fight that Devin Haney needs to hush a lot of people up. And he'll rise back to that top and have that Roy Jones music on. Y'all must have forgot. And that'll be a big victory for him.
Look, I'll say this, bro. I think deep down inside, I like Devin Haney. I'm a big fan of Devin Haney. You know, I don't all the. I'm talking about in the ring, like how he carries himself, all that, whatever, right? I'm a big fan of all of these guys. Somebody gonna watch that and say, "Oh, he's Team Haney." No, I'm a fan of Haney. I'm a fan of Tank and Shakur and all these cats. But with that said, Haney took a beating against Ryan. You know, he went through a war with Lomachenko. I'm worried that again, Brian Norman could potentially be a career ender. Look, nobody is breaking down Brian Norman video film just yet. Brian Norman Jr. got one of the best check left hooks in the business. I'm telling y'all. He's got one of the prettiest check left hooks since you know who? Ryan Garcia. And listen, I'm not a fan of any of Ryan Garcia's fighting style. I don't like his style at all, but I love that left hook, especially when he sneaks it. Brian Norman Jr. got the sneakiest, most explosive check left hook in the game. I challenge you guys to go watch it. It's sneaky. With that said, dog, I think Devin Haney taking a Brian Norman Jr. fight is disastrous. Now, the question is, what do you want to see? I'm with you. That fight is exciting. If whatever the hype, the build up, all of it, yeah, let's do it. At first, I was saying let's see Haney versus Hitchens first, but no, Haney already got his comeback fight. He fought Jose Ramirez. His pops is calling out Brian Norman Jr. Let's see it. But I'm gonna make my early prediction if we get that fight, and I'm gonna say Brian Norman Jr. does what Ryan Garcia couldn't do. And that's stopping him, bro. And it might be bad. It might be bad. That's my early prediction. This is the same guy who said against everybody telling me I was a dumbass, who said Devin Haney was going to beat the shit out of Regis Prograis. I have a terrible feeling if he gets in that ring with Brian Norman Jr. And that's all I got to say about that, my boy.
I mean, you may be right. He may be the favorite, Brian Norman Jr. coming in, but like I say, boxing is about levels, right? And I want to see the level change with Brian Norman Jr. I want to see if he's able to have this level change against guys like that. We could talk about his left hook, and we could talk about his power, but he do his speed with his power. And when he fighting a guy who's as skillful as a Devin Haney is going to know how to react. He's going to know how to avoid most of them big punches. That he's going to know how to hold his glove up to catch a lot of them big punches. How's Brian Norman Jr. going to be after them 6 rounds, after being in there with a skillful guy like that? Now, I will say Brian Norman is the guy at 147, so I'm going to give him, the early nod, but I'm telling you, if the Devin Haney, I seen come back, because y'all can say what y'all want to say about how he fought, whatever, right? Just the same way y'all was talking about it, and then y'all found out Ryan Garcia was on his word stuff. How y'all feel now, right? How y'all feel now? So he had to come back and, shake it out. Damn, he don't deserve that. I'm telling you. Listen, I'm gonna be like this. I don't know who I got in that fight right now. I'm gonna be honest with you, Jay. Brian Norman is the man at 147, right? But I see a lot of guys who got power like him, who can move and beat people up. If they stand right there and just let you do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they stand right there and let you do it, Devin Haney ain't gonna stand right there and let you do it. I want to see if Brian Norman got this level change. I like Brian Norman. But I want to see if he got that level change too. He's the guy at 147. I give him that. But I want to see the level change. I want to see if he can do it.
Salute, bro. Salute. Let's hit a couple of these comments. The one dude who agrees with every one of my Canelo opinions, Mr. Boxing Magic Mexide. What's up? Said Viva Canelo. Eddie with salute. And then we got Mosquito Spray. Salute to TSB. What's up, my boy? Appreciate you tuning in, dog. Hey, look, man, before we leave, we got a fight coming up Saturday. We ain't paid too much attention, but we might not get a chance to cover it because
we got. Did you hear about Moses Atuma versus Dylan White getting announced.
I did hear. Is that
Well,
official?
that's, I think I seen that it's official, but we'll talk about that. What were you gonna say on the next show?
No, I was saying because our next episode we are scheduled to have Sharetta Chicken Metcalf as she prepares
Big
for her
chicken.
undisputed.
Big
She
chicken.
put her IBF title on the line against Sugar Neeks. It's gonna be on the Amanda Serrano undercard. So we got Sharetta Metcalf coming up on our next episode. So we might not get a chance to cover the Jake Paul Chavez Jr. card. We got a little bit some ties to that. Let's get to that. Are you good on time, Corey?
Yeah.
All right. So Jake Paul Chavez Jr. and then I do want to take a second to talk about Tevin Farmer, Kid Austin on the undercard. I don't have a lot to say about Jake Paul, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but I have a few things to say. Do you want to get into it, or who do you think's winning? What are your thoughts on the fight? Do you give a damn?
I mean, I care because it's Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. son.
Yeah.
You know, that's the bond. What made me, like the guy through all his, ups and downs. The love I had for his daddy growing up. We see him screw up, but that's Junior. That's Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. son. Right? So I'm interested, really interested, because he got more experience than Jake Paul. Right? He really do. Right? Especially being in there with a Canelo already. But the thing that worried me is, is he in shape? Right? Is he there? Because if he in shape, and he posed a lot of problems for Jake Paul. I really mean that, JJ.
Yeah, I agree, bro. So look, Canelo already embarrassed me, embarrassed the boxing community, embarrassed his dad.
Canelo,
sorry, Chavez Jr. Oh boy, sorry,
boxing music.
I misspoke. Listen, Chavez already embarrassed his pops. It was a Father's Day. I forget the year. Anderson Silva signed up to fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., a UFC guy, a UFC GOAT, coming to the boxing ring. And usually, what does that mean? Boxing guy's going to destroy him, right? No, Chavez Jr. humiliated the boxing public and got beat by an old UFC guy. All right. So look, Chavez Jr., this is your one time to redeem yourself from that embarrassment. You embarrassed your pops on Father's Day. That should be number one. If you go and lose to a Jake Paul, a dude who just started fighting recently, bro, that is going to hurt your dad so much. At least Anderson Silva was is a Hall of Fame legend in the UFC. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., you got one chance to make this right. You have to beat Jake Paul. You have to beat him. You've been in the ring against Canelo Alvarez, Sergio Martinez. You've lifted a WBC championship. You're not 40 years old yet. We don't get to call you an old guy against this newcomer. Chavez Jr. needs to win this fight. I'm just afraid that he's going to let us down once again. With Jake Paul probably going to be in supreme shape. He looks in shape as hell. So the boxing fan in me, as much as Chavez Jr. keeps disappointing me, I got to pick Chavez to win this fight if it's a legit fight. But I would not be surprised if he embarrasses me one more time, Corey. If he embarrasses me again, my boy.
Yeah, but Chavez deserve all the Chavez Jr. deserve all the criticism. He got because he put himself in that position. But I think most of it is, kind of, unfair, especially from the Latino community. And I ain't just talking about you. I'm talking about the Latino community as a whole, because he's Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.'s son, right? And I think y'all kind of wrong. And I'm talking to all my Latino people, right, who feel that hatred. I love y'all.
I'm not hating. It ain't hatred.
No. Listen,
embarrassing.
No, but JJ, y'all
embarrass me like if I was a UFC fan and when Ray Mercer beat the shit out of Tim Sylvia in a UFC in an octagon or in a cage, That kind of embarrassing, not because
Yeah,
he's Mexican.
I'm not saying that y'all don't got the right to criticize him, right? But the Latino community criticized him more harshly because he's Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. son. I want y'all to think about this. And like I said, he deserved criticism. But can we please think about this? He grew up as the son of who they say is the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. Do y'all understand the amount of pressure? Think if y'all grew up rich than like he did, right? Being under that pressure of being this guy's son, you walking with one of the biggest stars on the planet, and you his son. That is a lot of pressure. Don't excuse what he did. I'm just telling everybody, sometimes you have to have empathy and put yourself in that guy's shoes, right? And understand how he came up in the spotlight. Some people are able to do it, but sometimes the pressure could be too much for them, right?
My response to that, though, Correz, you're right. That's got to be enormous pressure for your dad to be arguably one of the best to ever do it. But at the same time, there's no doubt in my mind that if he wasn't Chavez Jr.'s son or Chavez's son, he would have never had the opportunity to be a champion. He would have never been given these opportunities. Let's not be dumb here. He was given these opportunities because he's Chavez's son. So if you're going to say, all right, we can't be too hard on him because he had a lot of pressure because he's Chavez's son, then, well, shit, he shouldn't have had these opportunities because he's Chavez's son. You got to take the good with the bad. You got to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, you were good given this opportunity because who your daddy was. At the same time comes a lot of responsibility, and you got to hold that pressure up.
But that's true, and I can agree with you on that. But you got to understand, he can't help that was his daddy, and he was afforded these opportunities. He can't help that, JJ. I'm sorry. He can't help that was his daddy, and he was afforded this opportunity. People mad at him because, I mean, I'm not saying talking to, I'm just speaking hypothetically, like, and I'm not talking to nobody. People mad at him because this was his daddy. He can't help this was his daddy, and he was afforded all these opportunities, and his daddy was able to do this and do that. He can't help that. What people should understand, it's a lot of people who wish they had daddies like that coming up. Don't y'all wish y'all could have been afforded the opportunities like that? And like I say, Chavez, he messed up a lot, and I didn't criticize him a lot. But I'm telling y'all got to understand, even though he was afforded these opportunities, still being that dude's son, that is pressure. That will make you want to get on that white stuff and do like that. Because the light, and then your daddy with you, when he in the locker room with you, and he walking in the building with you, that's different, bro. That's different.
I get that. Old Primo Eddie said Junior better go in that ring like it's World War IV. And salute to everybody watching. We survived World War III. Salute. Salute. And Nerd, look at me and Nerd agreeing on something. Junior's the biggest disgrace that could ever happen in the sport of boxing. He feels that hatred. He's a disgrace.
No, Nerd. You need to no. He ain't the biggest disgrace.
There's a lot of them.
Don't be mad at him because, like Bronny James can't help his daddy LeBron, and he got drafted in the second round. There was people much better than him. That's his daddy. But I know it's life ain't fair. It's not. Deal with it. It sucks. I know it sucks. Life could be fair and life could sucks. We're gonna go through our trials and tribulations. It's up to us if we want to rise above that. Because life could be great and life could suck. We all know that, right? But his life was great. But in between getting his life being great, having all that spotlight around him and everybody pampering him and whoop-de-whoop being his son, y'all don't understand that. Y'all don't understand. It ain't like a guy who come from nothing and mess it up, right? He come from everything. And he was able to get in the ring and do this, yeah. He didn't pan out to what y'all thought he was gonna be because y'all had hopes and wishes and dreams.
I
That's
didn't
y'all
think that.
fault.
I
No,
didn't think
that's all the
that.
Latino. Now, real quick,
Hell
JJ,
no. I
real quick. That's
never.
the Latino community. No, listen what I'm saying. The reason why the Latino community should be disgusted with themselves, right, is because y'all put these hopes and dreams on him because
No,
this was his son. Y'all wanted to have that feeling again, and he didn't pan out.
no, it wasn't that, bro. It wasn't that at all because it had nothing to do with the feeling. It had to do with your dad is Chavez, right? You know, you can't be coming out with little pink underwear, swimming in the water with your blonde highlights. Now, if you was kicking ass and you were destroying everything in front of you, sure, go and do whatever the hell you want to do. Look at De La Hoya. Did you see the De La Hoya this week? Did you see his predictions? You didn't see it. Oh,
What
good.
happened? What happened, bro?
Lucky stars, you ain't seen it. No, it's a De La Hoya in a very exposed situation, making predictions, emphasis on the dick, and it was terrible. But anyway, you go look it up yourself because I want to talk too much about Oscar De La Hoya's stuff. But
But you see what you said? You tried to say your son.
no,
That was your first statement.
no, listen. Chavez, the problems with the drugs, the excuses, the crying, the loss against Anderson Silva, the not taking the sport serious when your pops was an icon. Your pops had a lot of skeletons in the closet as well. We all know that. But he was able to defend, he was able to back it up in the ring. Chavez was a disgrace in and out the ring, dog. Not, I mean, yeah, to the Mexican community, but I don't say that on behalf of a country of Mexico. I say that on behalf of a fight fan who loved Julio Cesar Chavez, bro. So
Nah, but you gotta understand though, it's different though. Like I know it's a lot of, but Mexican and Latino people wasn't the only people who loved Julio Cesar
you're right,
Chavez Sr.
exactly.
But that was his fan, but he captivated the Latino community. That was his. He had a lot of other fans. That's what made him bigger than life. Because not only did he have the millions, hold up, JJ, and millions of Latino fans in my rock voice, he had different other origins of skin color
Exactly.
of fans.
Disgrace to
So,
boxing, not to
no,
the
no,
country.
but when you speak, Julio Cesar Chavez was eating rice and beans coming up, JJ. You know how hard he had to work. Do you hear his stories
I
of how
do.
hard he
That's
had
what
to
I'm
work, or how
saying.
troubling? You know the mentality that's different from him. Why do you think he could go through some shit and be able to bounce back from it? Because of what he went through growing up through that struggle. His son grew up with a Latin, got treated like a Latin, or like coming to America, rose petals when he walk.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's a difference, JJ.
Yup. All right. And then the last topic on the who you picking to win main event? Chavez or Jay Paul? There's got to be a cricket sound here.
I'm going with Chavez.
Oh, there it is. You
I'm
going
going with
Chavez?
Chavez.
I'm going. I'm going Chavez too. I'm going Chavez as well. So and yeah. So moving on. The only fight I want to touch on this Correa. Obviously, we have the ties with Floyd, Kid Austin, Schofield coming out. Biggest name yet. Biggest step up against a very veteran, ring savvy, high IQ, dangerous fighter, Tevin Farmer. Tevin looking to spoil the kids' plans. Look, we've seen some strange things happen from Kid Austin with the whole Shakur shenanigans. The video of him looking like he's dead, accusing Shakur of stealing the passports. Him dropping out of the J. Paul Tyson undercard prior to that. Like thing after thing after thing. We keep seeing him fighting the same type of opponent. Is this going to be Kid Austin's crowning moment? Is he going to get a name on his resume, or is Tevin Farmer going to spoil the show for Schofield and Golden Boy Promotions?
I don't know.
This is a tough one,
I'll be
dog.
honest. I don't know, JJ. Because the same thing, even though Brian Norman Jr. is a champion, right? I got the same questions about Floyd Schofield Jr. Right? Nice up and coming, talent, right? He's arrived because he's right here now. Former uh, bucket prospect of the year, so on ours, so we recognize who he is, but I just question the mental, and I say that respectfully. Of do he take the sport serious? Have the sport gotten too much for him and his father because of the attention that they're getting? Do they not want to push themselves to be the best? Whether he got sick or not. He said he got sick. That's neither here nor there. We could talk about it all day long, but the stuff that was leading up to that. And now he's going in here with a slick Philadelphia fighter, bro, and Tevin Farmer, who is supremely confident, who could box circles around you. And with Coach Mustafa, he showed us his inside boxing ability, which he always had, but just being more meaner, sitting on his punches. I think he's going to be too much for Kid Austin. I got Tevin Farmer winning this fight.
Tevin Farmer, I think today or yesterday, tweeted he's going to stop Kid Austin. I think he said about round 7. Now, look, I'm going to keep this directed towards Schofield, the fighter, Kid Austin. I think the world of Kid Austin. I think he's got some holes in his game, specifically his defense. I think he leaves himself vulnerable a lot. I think he's defensively irresponsible. A lot of things you see from a young fighter who doesn't have a lot of experience. He doesn't have a deep amateur pedigree, or amateur resume. So he doesn't have them important rounds. Everybody he's been in the ring against, he is supreme. He's just a superior athlete, stronger, faster, bigger, younger. So of course he's going to have all these knockouts, and of course he's going to look bigger. But like you said, we're talking about Tevin Farmer here, man. Tevin Farmer gave Cepeda a run for his money. He genuinely did. Some people have Tevin Farmer winning that first fight. But here's the thing, Corey. It's a lot more, and you hear me talk about the mental game all the time in boxing. Like there's talent everywhere in the country. You can go to a gym in every major city and find a super talented kid, but the mental side of it. And I disagree with you. I don't think Kid Austin. I think all Kid Austin knows is boxing. Now, I think his pops is extremely distracting. I think they've made some bad decisions in their career, but we're here, right? All that said, we've heard Tevin Farmer mention retirement already. We've heard him say, I'm tired of the game. Tevin Farmer feels like he's been a victim of the sport a lot already. And when you're in your mid-30s and you just got engaged to a woman who loves you a whole lot and you're making money and you made your money, I think mentally Farmer's there already. He sees the exit. While Kid Austin knows, look, I had the whole public just roasting my ass for what happened with Shakur. Everybody's laughing at me. Nobody thinks I'm serious anymore. Kid Austin is going to come out. And yeah, I think we're going to see another fight where Kid Austin doesn't box. I think we're going to see another wild ass Kid Austin. But I think there's going to be so much adrenaline. And I think it's just going to be too much. And I think he's going to land some shots, awkward ass shots on Tevin Farmer, and I think Kid Austin's going to get the stoppage in his best performance up to date. With that said, though, if you're not taking this fight serious, Tevin Farmer could very easily piece up the Kid Austin we've seen in the past. That's where I'm at with this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I respect your opinion, but I don't see him stopping nothing. His last fight, against that Mexican guy, I can't think his name, but he hurt Kid Austin to the body where, Kid Austin didn't know how to react to that. And when you fighting against a guy like Tevin Farmer who's slick on the inside and know what to properly hit you at to wear you down, JJ, I don't think he gonna have that same stamina after 4 or 5 rounds after Tevin Farmer, because Tevin Farmer, no, you can talk about retirement. Yeah, you can bring that up because he's one of them guys, but you also know that this is the opportunity of a lifetime right here that can get you another big fight that could possibly make your dreams come true again. He's going to here against a guy, and I know you say he thinks boxing. I'm not gonna talk about his father. Kid Austin is a grown ass man. I'm gonna hold him accountable. I don't think he just thinks boxing. I think Kid Austin started feeling himself. He hear his dad talking about him, so now he's feeling himself to where he bought into the hype because he deserved the hype, but he's believing what his dad is telling him about this hypnosis and all this other stuff, and he's going to be the greatest fighter in the world to ever do it, and that's great to do that, right? But when you're actually not proving it, when you're actually letting your dad come out and say these things, then you come on here and say, oh, it was a joke. No, you want to say it's a joke now because y'all tried to make it look like it was real, but people didn't buy it. So I'm not buying what they doing right now. And I know they're going against a guy. Like, I tried to come on here and say, I don't know, but I do know, JJ. I don't think that Kid Austin is mentally there. I think, it done got too much for him. I think his father put unnecessary pressure on him that pimple is about to pop off, right? And we seen the beginning of it when he could have made over $1 million against Shakira. And then they say, oh, well, I thought y'all was joking, but now Shakur masseuse rubbed you. I don't believe nothing coming out of that. I'm not, this a grown man. I know his name is Floyd Kid Austin Schofield Jr., but he is a grown-ass man who have a child now. So it's on him. And I think he is the product of what his pops is, which he's supposed to be, but we see where that's going, and I think Tevin Farmer is going to come in here and put on the best performance of his life and get this victory.
We will see Saturday night on the Zone with the J. Paul Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. undercard. Y'all check it out. Hey, we've had both guys on the show, Schofield multiple times. I don't wish bad on any of these guys. May the better man win. May they put on a damn entertaining show. Nobody gets hurt. And they get home with their loved ones, and that's what I'm hoping for, an entertaining show and a safe, healthy show. So with that said, IOTBA, let's remind everybody, please like and subscribe. Look, me and IOTBA are keeping mental notes for Buckethead of the Year. We're going to have a nice little prize at the end of the year. So look, when you screen record, when you screenshot, and you tag us on any of the platforms, when you share something, we taking notes. You're going to want to be in the running for Buckethead of the Year, I promise. Is it going to be tickets to a fight? Is it going to be a gift card? Is it going to be some cologne for y'all stinky asses? It's going to be Buckethead of the Year. So start following our shit. Start telling your friends. We got our next episode 97. Mrs. Sharetta Chicken Metcalf, Dallas's own, looking to defend her IBF title and go for the.
And that's when, Jake, this Saturday, right?
No, that's not this Saturday. That's in July.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in July. I'm pretty sure. I got to remember the date, but we got her coming up this weekend. So y'all lock in.
No, I'm talking about, that's what I'm saying. We got her this Saturday.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant the fight. Yeah, this show is this Saturday.
And we're going to be together, right?
Yep, you're going to be sitting right there, right? God willing.
Yeah.
So and she always puts on she always gives a great interview. Tell your friends, we appreciate y'all. Appreciate the super chat. We appreciate all the chat talking. Corey, any closing thoughts, my boy?
Man, just salute to everybody from the 214 to across the pond.
Y'all have a good night.
This is JJ Solomon.
This Corey Bradshaw, Mr. IOTBA. Mr. These boys can't touch me on my worst day. and this is the Spit Bucket Podcast.